Okay. All right. So again, very, very excited to invite Dan Kitajima to talk to us today. Dan actually is on the President's Council Advisory Board or Council. And, I follow him on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook, and, always enjoyed his posts and the things that he posted on there. And, looking at this guy's background and the things he's accomplished with farmers is just amazing. It's incredible. Actually, in 2019, Dan was the 2019 Personal Alliance Agent of the Year. And it's amazing, just doing some research on him and the things that he's able to do with his team. I figured it would be a good idea to have him come talk to you guys today. So Dan Kitajima, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to us. So you can see on here, he's been to President's Council 2019 Tapa Club qualifier. And, what's very, very amazing on here is him being, the one that sold the most policies in the whole country, 3 years in a row, 1918. And then you can see 2014, 2015, 2016, he was a top producer of policies in California and also in the country. So, very, very incredible production from his team. And, this is really what prompted me to reach out to Dan. He had this post on Facebook, and he posted his final numbers for last year. And last year, he was able to sell 5,600 units in 2020. That is just incredible to me. That's a bunch of agencies combined, if you will, in that number right there. So, when I saw that, I picked up the phone and I said, hey, I got to talk to this guy. He needs to, share his knowledge, and he was very, very gracious to accept my invitation there. So, looking at Dan's his agency, I did some research. He's been in the agency with farmers for 13 years. He currently has over 10,000 policies. And look at what he did in December of last year. Last year, they did $253,000 in premium with 554 policies just in 1 month. That is just amazing. And when you look at his setup in his office, he's got close to 11 people that work in his office. So he's going to talk about his team and how many of them are producers, how many of them are CSRs. So we're going to have an opportunity for him to speak to us this morning. Okay. So with that being said, a couple of quotes that I found. Obviously, if you don't have dreams or you don't have goals, you can accomplish anything. So if they don't scare you, then they're obviously too small. And obviously, if you're good, people notice. So you want to be so good that people can't ignore you. And that's kind of the story with Dan that is going to be speaking to us today. And what's a team without a good ABC or a couple of good ABCs and a great recruiter, right? So I also want to thank Charlotte and Corey for definitely being on the district team, sharing their knowledge and their passion for helping people. And I also want to thank Kendra for being a great recruiter, having a good ear, and also being eager to come here every morning and look for agency owners. So they all have a chance to speak to you guys today. We're going to share it in the presentation. And the first person that will lead us off is going to be Corey. So Corey will be, again, I want to give him a round of applause for the things they do for the district. I want to say thank you to all of you for helping me manage this district, okay? So with that being said, Dan Kitajima, I'm going to have him be the one to speak to us, and Corey will lead us with the questions on here. So let me bring his picture onto the screen so that everyone can see him. Right. All right, Charlotte, is there a way to pin him?
I could probably figure it out, but not in a time-effective manner.
That's fine. Okay. All right. So Dan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I think we can still see you on here. So I'm going to bring you right here on the side so folks can see you as you speak to them. So Corey, why don't you take it away? First question.
Okay. So hi, Dan. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Corey.
I was in newspapers for 20 years in a previous life, so I get to be the one to grill you today. So I guess you see the first question there. What brought you to Farmers, and what did you do before?
All right, sure. Yeah, before I get started, I just want to thank Sam again for having me on here. I could really tell his passion, wanting to help his agents, you guys out. So I really respect that. You know, a lot of DMs out there, you know, different effort levels. But when it comes to Sam, I could already tell his passion that, hey, I got to find something to help out my agents. So, you know, big respect to Sam. And congratulations to all you guys that are going to get awards today. So I just want to recognize you guys' hard work. But yeah, what brought me to Farmers? What did I do previously? So before Farmers, I was right out of college. I got a job at AAA. It was a call center situation. So I was, you know, it's my first full-time job. I knew I wanted to be in commission because I was pretty money hungry. And I had like a commission job as a part-time job selling sneakers. So I knew I wanted to do something in commission. I worked at AAA for 3 years. There I got licensed. And there they really, you know, did a pretty good job, I would say, of training me to sell insurance over the phone. It was inbound calls. It was auto. It was just personalized home, umbrella policies, earthquake policies, you know, all the personal line stuff. So I learned everything there, 3 years. I did pretty well there. Um, Experienced some, you know, good managers, some bad managers. And after 3 years, I won't get into the details, but things didn't work out. Well, let's just say I got fired. And then I just said, okay, well, I was 27 at that time, and I needed to find another, you know, thing to do. My parents were entrepreneurs, and then I felt like, hey, I know the business already. Let me start my own agency, and Farmers just happened to be the best fit for me. You know, it was the easiest to get started. Maybe that was the reason. So day one, I was my agency owner. And I'll tell you guys a little story too, just to give you guys a little context on my background. It's a great question, I think. Not a lot of people ask about my background before Farmers, but so when I first started Farmers, the very first day, I had my insurance lapse because I knew I was going to start Farmers. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till August 1st. I was driving around without insurance. Very first day, I was like, okay, I got to sell my own policy. So I started my own policy, and then my parents, you know, God bless them, you know, I was able to sell their policy, couple autos, a homeowner's policy, and then I called it a day that day, and I felt really good about myself. I was like, great start to my new career. Second day, I came into the office, and there was nothing going on, literally nothing going on. I was just like, okay, what do I do now? You know, and I think one of the things at AAA that helped me out was that it was just a constant. There was something to do all the time. I was so busy, and I am, you know, still to this day, love being busy, and I just didn't have anything to do that day. So it was 2007, and luckily back then there wasn't, you know, iPhones or Facebook, and well, maybe there was, but there was Google still. So I went on Google and I typed in internet leads, and all these companies came out. And another backstory a little bit is that during that time was 2007. It was a big poker boom, and you know, here where I live in LA, there's a lot of casinos, and I was going to these high, you know, I was making pretty good money at AAA, and we were playing, you know, high end, high stakes poker. Well, you know, and I was really into poker really at that time. The thing is, I wasn't that good of a player, so I was pretty used to losing, you know, going to casino, losing $1,000, $2,000, like pretty regularly. Sometimes I win, but I was used to, you know, playing that, putting money at risk. So I was like, hey, what's $1,000? What's a couple $1,000? Let me spend on this company, spend on that company. And I just, you know, started buying internet leads, and I was by myself. 6 months later, I hired somebody. I learned how to do it. 6 months later, I hired somebody, and then taught them how to do internet leads. And, you know, 13 years later, things have really changed a lot, but that's really just to give you guys context of how I got started in Farmers and kind of like my early years.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
And so Sam shared your numbers with the district here. So 5,669 new business units last year. How did you sell all those policies?
Well, to answer that question, how did you sell all those policies last year? I sold like 1% of those policies. So, so I didn't. So to answer that question, it's having a team. You know, I think there's just so much one person could do, obviously. So I really give all the credit to my team. You know, you just have to have to be able to scale your business. You just have to have multiple producers that are hungry or that are motivated. And you know, you could have great staff members, but I mean, we have to have a great marketing strategy, you know, to be able to sell policies. So I would say, you know, it's could be a very long conversation if you talk about it, but to answer it as efficient as possible, it was by having a marketing system that I invest heavily in, you know, and then having producers that are motivated and skilled enough to close business.
Very good.
So tell us a little bit more about your team and what incentives do you offer them?
Yeah, I love my team. You know, I really feel like that's my number one job is to try to take care of them. You know, some of the incentives I would say I offer them is I make sure they have leads. You know, if I was a producer working at an agency, you know, no matter how great the comp plan is, if there's no leads coming in, if there's no opportunity really given, it's just really a tough situation to be in. You know, it's a little unreasonable to expect them to market themselves. I mean, they can hit their natural market a little bit and sell, you know, their family and friends, but they need a pipeline of, you know, of people to talk to. So I feel like even though people may not think of it as an incentive, I almost look at that as my number one duty as an agency owner is to make sure they have people to talk to, the phones are ringing, they have people to call, like, you know, real people to call that are interested in, you know, insurance. So one of the ways I will incentivize them is by making sure they have enough leads. I think that's number one. Number two, you know, having a good culture, you know, a place where they feel motivated, you know, place where they're trained. So believe it or not, you know, producers do want to be trained because they want to get better at their job. Like who wants to have a job and they don't know what to do? That's going to be a very frustrating job for them. So they want to know what they're doing. I also incentivize them by, you know, having a pretty strong comp plan. I think that's important too. It has to be very motivated. You know, it's not easy to sell insurance. We all know that. So to make it worth it for them to go through the hassle, not the hassle, but to go through the grind of being able to close the policy, I think it has to be more upfront. So I could go into my comp plan, but it's a little bit more aggressive on the front end. Um, you know, yeah. So yeah, the money is important. You know, I have producers I'm really proud of that, well, one of them that made over six figures last year. So, you know, that's important. Making sure, you know, they're, and, you know, we do a lot of things, but not everybody's motivated by money too. So making them feel like they belong on a team. There's a lot of ways to incentivize them. I think it is important to understand like what each person, and then when you have, you know, evaluating employees, it is easy and it is possible to get to know each of them and know what motivates each person. Some of them wants to be just part of a winning team, and some people are want to like save the agency money, and some people are really money hungry and they really want to have a strong, you know, sales opportunity. So just understanding what they want and incentivizing them individually, I think is something that I've learned throughout the years that is important because not everybody is motivated with the same things that the next person is.
Real quick, we see some of your staff moving around behind you now. How has COVID affected? Does everybody still work from the office or does anybody work from home or?
Yeah, we have a couple people working from home today. It's an evolving thing. Last month, okay, in January, well, we have two people who have COVID right now. Last month we had five. So it hasn't been easy. You know, it's been a lot of adversity at our agency. Um, you know, but we're champs. You know, we really tested our mental stability and emotional stability last year. But we've been through it. I mean, some of us had it twice. You know, I haven't gotten it. I almost think it's miraculous that I haven't gotten it yet because I'm here from, you know, 8 to 7, and I'm just working um, every day, training people who have it. Did found out later, and just, but yeah, working remotely is definitely something that we've have had to adjust to. But it's working. That is something that we do. But yeah,
Okay, so just get us back on track here. So how important is marketing to you and how do you find clients?
oh man. So I think that's the most important question, you know, that we all have as agency owners. I think it's our number one duty is to find a marketing strategy that works. I mean, you could have the best producer in the whole world, You got the best office location in the whole world. But if you don't have the marketing, it's like, what are we gonna do? So figuring that out is, I think, the number one task. That's pretty much all I think about is how can I maximize my marketing spend? How can I yeah, basically maximize the marketing spend, meaning, how great can the leads be? How can I get the phones to ring? How do I get, because if you really think about it, if marketing wasn't in an issue, and if you had a great marketing program where you were just busy talking to people, I mean, 99% of your problems would be solved. You could always find more producers. I mean, that's another thing that's not making it sound easy, but if you had a lot of people, if you had a lot of marketing, and if you had just a lot of people to talk to, you could just figure out, okay, I could just hire more people. I could get a bigger office location. But that's the one thing that really makes the whole difference of your agency, is what your marketing strategy is and how well that's working. I think that just makes or break our careers and our years. So that's pretty much, man. Well, staffing and motivating them, and human resource, and just making sure your staff is getting taken care of. That's important to me. But I mean, I would say, besides staffing, all my time is spent on marketing.
Marketing. What would be your top three ways to find customers? What would you say, Dan?
Well, I think I started off, like I mentioned, with internet leads. So when I first started internet leads, people thought it was a fad. Like they were like, "What are you doing? That's never going to work." So Farmers has definitely turned a corner there this year, and I really love to see that, because it does work. Um, Another thing that works for me, I would say, if you say top three, I would say one and two would be social media for me. Okay, social media is where everyone's attention is. Everybody's on their phones all the freaking time. No one's going through their mail. I mean, direct mail still could work. So I shouldn't say that, because I know agents that do really well with the direct mail. I don't really think, at least where I live, telemarketing doesn't work. I mean, if people call me, I mean, even if my best friend calls me, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Just text,
Just text me.
just text me. Like even my mom, like, what's going on? You know? So people don't like to be called, and we just have to be empathetic of today's world and what's going on. And I think it's very um, okay, or accepted, to be able to just email us, just email them like crazy. Just email them,
Right.
and then also text them too. I think that's getting more accepted too. People rather get a text than a call. So just adapting to those strategies. So I would say social media, I would say email marketing, I would say text marketing, anything digital marketing
Mhm.
is really where I've spent a lot of my focus on.
Do your salespeople also sell through those through texting and emailing, or is it primarily over the phone, or through Zoom? How do you guys sell today? Obviously, with COVID, things are a little different. How do you
Yeah,
do?
that's a good question. I mean, I think initially some communication could be done by text, getting some information.
Mhm.
So a lot of them do text. But still, most of the conversations, and really, because we have to add the value, because with our pricing, it's just going to be hard to just text them the price, boom, here you go, do you want it? It's not going to be a great closing ratio. So we do have to get them on the phone. But the initial conversation, setting up the time to talk, those things a lot of times are done by email and text. But the conversation, to be able to cross sell them, to explain to them the discounts, and go through all their options, and do a consultative sales approach, we have to talk to them on the phone. So we'll use text and email to really initiate the conversation, but our main objective to do the texting and the emailing is to try to get them on the phone.
Okay.
So, real quick about internet leads, you mentioned, like, are you getting leads from multiple companies at once, or how do you rotate? How do you decide where they come from?
Yeah, depending on your budget, but when I was really doing a lot of internet leads, I was, multiple companies, and that depends on how much volume you want to. But I think it's okay to have just one solid one. I mean, it may take a long time for you to find that one solid one. Spend 80% of your budget there, and maybe 20% on another one, just as a backup, just in case that one's not doing well. But, I've been always the type to really focus in on just one or two marketing strategies. I think when I was first started, they really recommend to have five or even more just to but if you have one, it's just okay to just hit that one really hard and just maximize that one, especially if it's scalable. So if you have one great lead source, I would just really maximize that, but just have a backup plan just in case that one doesn't work out. But I wouldn't say it's necessary to have multiple companies in the beginning, maybe to find out what's going to work for you, what filters works for you, which companies like working with, and which ones give you the best return. But I will say just having one or two is going to be um, just fine eventually.
So, I mean, obviously there are a lot of vendors out there. Which one do you like the best?
I like all web leads.
Oh, okay.
I like Hometown too. Those are the two companies that have shown good results in the past for me.
Okay.
But I think it all depends on what your guys' product is good. I'm not sure if your guys is which is better, auto or home, where you guys are. It really depends on which product is competitive for your guys' market. What type of filters which companies offer. If you want them to be transferred, it's just all kind of depends on the agents too. So every agent will find a fit, I believe, if they really looked hard enough. Just the finding that part is the difficult part. That's where I think my risk tolerance is a little bit high. Finding that company and going through that took time, effort, and money because, I mean, yeah, it's not fun to spend $1,000 on a marketing campaign that didn't work out at all. But, going through that is really what helped me, and being able to understand that, hey, I have to risk my money to make money. I think that is something that has helped me looking back, because I do feel like, as insurance agents, maybe we're naturally risk averse.
Right.
We don't like to take risks as insurance agents, financially too. So, buying leads, spending money on marketing, finding out that the whole process is a difficult one. I can understand that. But I do feel it's very important to find something where, okay, if I spend $100, I'll get this much leads. Now let's spend it $200. Let's go $300. And finding a marketing plan that's scalable, I think, is something that, if their ambition is to grow a bit larger agency, I think it is something that's very critical.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question.
How do you find your talent, like your producers, and your team, and what do you look for?
Yeah, so this really depends because throughout the years, I mean, at first was using Craigslist. Back in 2007, in 2009, there was a recession. So, I'll put a post on Craigslist. I'll get 1,000 people that will apply for me. That worked out really great for a while. So a lot of my producers still to this day are from Craigslist from back in the days, but that hasn't really been working out that great these years. Have used social media for recruiting too. That's a great tool for recruiting. And then also Ideal Traits. Ideal Traits is something that came up last year. And most of my new hires have been from Ideal Traits. And when it comes to what I look for, I don't really look for experience. I don't look for the license because, I mean, it's kind of hard to find them, so it's going to be very difficult for us, for at least for me, to find a licensed producer that's ready to go. So, like anything else, like marketing too, I just play the long game. So I just look for people that have great attitude and great activity. It's really all I look for. If they have a great attitude and a great activity level, work ethic, then the rest could be figured out. Take some time to go through the whole process of literally teaching them, sometimes even from how to type to how to fold envelopes, to how to do data entry, how to just really have really low expectations, just really low expectations. First of all, I'm not really paying them that much, so I can't really expect them that much. You know, so just the only expectation is good attitude, good activity. Start them off with the most basic work. Just really secretary, clerical, administrative work, And then from there on, they may not talk to anybody for like a month. And then from there on, maybe they'll, after hearing how other people talk in the office, then they'll move it up to customer service. They're calling people who are late on payment and calling, chatting, just like sales support, still like, clerical work, but still, some customer service involved. 6 months later, they've been in the office for 6 months, they've been working hard. If they're doing well, then there's going to be opportunity for me to get them licensed, and then they could become a producer, and then they could start trying to cross sell policies, do FFRs, ask for referrals, and then maybe a year from there, after they do that, then they may get leads. The leads are going to be, something that I'm not just going to give to any new producer. It's going to be something that obviously a lot of investment behind. So I'm only going to send it to the people who I know have been proven to be able to close business. And it's almost like we talked about, how do I incentivize them? I'm going to reward my top performers. They earned the leads. The leads weren't given. So there's a little bit of a progression, the career path. So that's kind of what I look for, is someone just has the long-term view. And I want to recruit. That's what I look for too. Like, I don't want somebody who's just, trying to do this while, they're finishing their nursing school or something like that. Or, I want someone who wants to be and has their identity as, I want to be an insurance agent one day. So I'm looking for people who could have the ability to look long-term, who understands the concept of delayed gratification and is willing to put in the work, so they could have a better future for themselves and their families.
Awesome. Great.
Any advice for new agents? Maybe someone just starting out.
Yeah, sure. I think for when it comes to advice for new agents, I think this is something maybe I struggled with early on. I think I was pretty ambitious in the beginning. So I think when I was very ambitious in the beginning, I would really get frustrated very easily. Like, things aren't working out. This business takes a long time, and it's just like, and when I understood, hey, this is going to take a long time. This isn't going to be easy. I need to take a little bit easy on myself, because I didn't make President's Council for the first 13 years. There's some dark years there too. People not working out, or just like, some months, like, because I was taking a risk, I will lose. I didn't make 10,000. I will lose 10,000 a month. So employees that I thought were loyal didn't work out, or I think the advice I have is just to have patience. You know, it's just not fun to be just frustrated all the time. You know, I think this business, because of the residual factor, is just such a long game that I think I would have enjoyed the ride a little bit more if I just understood that, hey, eventually it's going to pay off. Next folio is not that important. You know, the next year's folio, maybe. What we do right now is not for the next folio. Like, when I recruit somebody, when I market somebody, it's not going to help the next folio. you know it's only going to help maybe the folio 2 years from now, when start hiring somebody. So having a long-term outlook and just having patience. And when I have patience, I just became a more of a nicer boss too. When I was like, okay, well, it's just like, okay, it's going to take some time. you know we're in it for the long term. You're not going to be great right now. I'm not making that much money right now, but if I had, once I understood like how to have more patience, I think that's really when I became better at even treating my clients better, treating my customers better, and treating myself better. So that's my personal experience when it comes to when I was new. I would have told myself like, hey, just have patience. Like, things are gonna work out.
Great advice.
How do your sales reps handle objections?
That depends on the objection. If his price is too high, and it's like, okay, we'll see you later. I think one thing that I think it is really important to be able to move on, and that's why having enough leads is important too, because if you only have one lead and that person's giving you objections, you're still trying to grind them out and like try to turn a yes to a no. It's just like a difficult job duty to do. And it's just like, maybe not sustainable. It's not an enjoyable job. So that happens all the time. I mean, the best closers at our office sell three policies out of 10, some of them four, and the bad ones sell two, or one. So it's a really fine line there between a great closer and an average one. So when it comes to objections, I mean, we're all salespeople. We all know, what we can do. as far, and so when it comes to training, I just tell them, hey, just have good attitude, good activity, good customer service. We just try our best. And but I'm not really that, I don't know. It depends on the objection. The price objection, we just have to, try to cross sell them, and bring value with the farmer's brand. Um, Man, what other objections could there be? You know, I think we're not that pushy though, as our style. If I had to talk to my wife, it's like, okay, yeah, great, that's a great idea. We just agree with them. Yeah, that I would have to talk to my spouse too if I was going to buy insurance. Agree with them, and just follow up with them, and just be someone that they like doing business with. So our style is very unaggressive. Sometimes too much. We do follow up though, but when it comes to objections, we're not gonna just try to fight that into like a situation where we could close. And we try to say, hey, I understand. Keep us in mind for the future. And sometimes they do, or we say, oh, I understand, and we try to figure out a way to turn that into a situation where they say, oh, this person is nice, they understand me, and try to close them that way. So that's a tough question for me because um, I don't really have a great um a- answer for, because the objection, there could be so many different objections.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that's good. And I think I already asked this question already, the top three marketing activities. So this is the last question that we have. And then if you guys have any other questions, you can either unmute yourself or you can text it to us and we'll ask Dan. Corey, go ahead. Last one.
What tools and systems do you use for marketing?
Yeah, great question. I think some of the great tools that I'm using is automated emails. So I use simple text for that. I mean, sorry, MailChimp.
Oh,
It's just
Milton.
a newsletter that gets sent out. You could do that with your existing clients. You could do that definitely with your prospects. So if somebody requests a lead, put them into a MailChimp system so they get emails, once a week until they die, or they
So
unsubscribe.
what are
Most
your
likely.
thoughts on the Apex emails? I'm sure your emails you send are a little bit more salesy than what we have for Apex. Do you use Apex in addition to Mailchimp or?
No, I don't. I've had, marketing campaigns, email campaigns for years now. So I figured I shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel there. So what's working has been working for me. Um, some of them are salesy, you know. Some of them are not that salesy. You gotta mix it up a little bit. If it's too salesy, sometimes they'll unsubscribe you. If it's too frequent too, so you gotta find that balance of like, okay, if the lead is fresh, you can email them every day for 5 days, and then you go every other day, and then you go once a week, and then after 6 months, maybe once a month. Um, so understanding that copy is so important. Being able to write is so important, I think, nowadays, because how you write, some of the words that will help is like, I want to help you with your insurance. um, we're here to help. um, so those things helps. And then texting too. Texting, I use simple text. That has been a pretty good one too, especially if you have a database base of old leads. Last month we had a great month because all the leads were just like, Happy New Year.
Mm,
Do you want to
yeah.
see if you could start off the year saving money on insurance this year? Just send out just massive amounts of text every day. Those type of campaigns work. Also, social media, obviously, posting regularly, you know, daily, just at least once post a day. That's easy too. So I would say, Facebook is definitely the biggest one that we have to use a lot of time and effort in understanding how, to convert on Facebook. Facebook is really just, I just use it for business. I don't use it for friends and stuff like that. It's like, it's just, my wife, when I first started Facebook, my wife was like so against it because she thought I was gonna like try to like, make friends with like, girls. With like, no, that's like so like what it's not, what it's not for. It's really to make connections with other people. You could, you know help them out with their insurance. So being very active on there is really a game changer because again, like I said, everybody's on their phone all the time. Instagram is also good for younger a crowd, which we have, a lot of, because our producers are a little bit younger too. So if you have Facebook and Instagram, and if you have the time to do other, um, platforms too, like LinkedIn, I think would be great, depending on what your target market is. The great thing about, social media is that, they know everything about you. So they know
Right.
everything about the client. So you say, hey, I want to talk to, I don't know, people over 50 that are business owners in the 50-mile radius of Minnesota. Tell Facebook that's who you want to target. It just gives you so much abilities when it comes to like who you want to get in front of, who you want to market to. So I'm not sure if that's a tool or a system, but just being active on it, just learning it, it's just being consistent with those three: social media, email, and text is really my strategy as of right now. And that could change, but that has been working for the last couple of years.
That's great. So any questions for Dan at all? I think we're definitely, over the time that we slated for him, but at this point, I'm going to open the floor for any questions that you guys may have for him. Going once, twice. Okay, well, Dan, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to my district. I know you're 2 hours behind us out in California, and your day is just about started there. So, thank you for the opportunity. And, you definitely shared some really amazing things with us, telling us that we have to be patient. I think that's important because we're obviously, in the long game, if you will. So I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, so, I guess somebody said thank you for talking to us. So again, thank you. You're happy to stay on and listen to our meeting, but I'm recording this and I'll send you a copy of it once it's over. So again, thanks and enjoy the rest of your day, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, Sam, for having me. Best
Yeah.
luck to you guys. I think, one other thing I want to leave you guys with is like we have a great opportunity, and I think it's the best idea for us to take advantage of this. So Farmers has been great for us, and I think it's going to be great for you guys too. And congratulations again to all you guys who won the awards.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate
See
it.
you guys. Thanks.
Okay.